Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MPRS Shipping and Logistics presents Global Freight Forum, powered by P.V.N Asia Maritime in association with Dakshin Bharat Gateway Terminal, co-presented by Indian Oil Corporation, hosted by VOC Port Authority, and organized by India Sea Trade and FIO. Ladies and gentlemen, can we begin our session with a loud round of applause? Let's get started with our next session. To begin the first session on the topic, Tuticorin Port's potential and its unique selling proposition. To debate and deliberate on this topic, I would like to take this opportunity to invite our esteemed panelists on stage. Put your hands together to welcome Mr. Tapaswi P.V.N, Vice President Exim, Commercial and Logistics, Arvind Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause for Mr. Tapaswi P.V.N. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. Moving on to our next panelist, Mr. C.M. Muraleedharan, Area Director, India, Unifeeder. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him on stage with a loud round of applause. Mr. Kumar Duraiswamy, CEO, Eastern Global Clothing Private Limited and Joint Secretary of Tirupur Exporters Association. Welcome, sir. Mr. Subhash Rajkumar, General Manager Operations, India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, Hapag Lloyd. May I request Mr. Subhash Rajkumar to kindly come on stage. Let's welcome him. Ms. G. Gayatri, IRTS, Area Head, Area 3, CONCOR. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a loud round of applause. And it's now time to welcome our moderator of this session. We have Mr. G. Vipin Shankar, CEO, Indian Subcontinent, John Freight Systems Limited, here today to moderate this panel discussion. A seasoned professional with qualitative experience acquired over the years. He has successfully led cross-functional teams and implemented multiple new operations setups across India, South Asian countries, launched new logistics products, services, both domestic and international, in turn achieving business growth, at the same time ensuring world-class operations in managing complex supply chain for customers across retail, automotive, industrial, and consumer verticals. He's passionate about coaching, mentoring, and training the next generation logistics leaders, as well as contributing positively towards logistics industry and in turn, India's growth story. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. G. Vipin Shankar, CEO, Indian Subcontinent, John Freight Systems Limited, here today to moderate this session. Welcome, Mr. Vipin. The floor is all yours. Over to you.
Thank you for the nice introduction. Good evening to one and all present here. It's really an honor to be the moderator for such an eminent panel. I think it's well represented, across the export fraternity. We've got Mr. Muraleedharan from the feedering segment. Of course, Mr. Kumar Duraiswamy again representing the Tirupur Exporters Association, Gayatri from CONCOR, and of course Subhash from a liner and MLO perspective. I think the topic given to us as a panel was Tuticorin Port's potential and its unique selling proposition. I think all the eminent speakers before in the inaugural session, they did speak about how important is Tuticorin from a container perspective, from a break bulk perspective. The second largest port in Tamil Nadu, I suppose the fourth largest container terminal port in the country. A lot of ready-made garments move through this port. So in a lot of ways, the port contributes to the economy of the country itself, and of course in a big way to Tamil Nadu. And I think from that perspective, when we see this is a very important discussion, because now with a lot of other ports coming up around, even though I think there were ports earlier also, Chennai was there, Cochin was there, but I think Tuticorin always maintained a niche to the exporter community or the exporters, importers. I think the immediate hinterland from an ease of doing business, Tuticorin was always a favored port. So I think we are here as a forum to debate And of course, then take few questions from the audience also in terms of what can we do together as a trade to kind of keep Tuticorin's edge forward. Yeah. So my first set of, I would like to open with Mr. Subhash, General Manager from Hapag Lloyd. So he represents not only Hapag Lloyd, but I would say more from the mainliner's perspective. So I think, Subhash, typically Tuticorin has been always a feeder port, right? Primarily connecting Colombo, and then you have other ports also it is connecting in a smaller way, right? As someone representing from Hapag, from an MLO perspective, right? How do you see, this trade strengthening, especially now that Hapag even has a stake in one of the container terminals, right? So from a MLO's perspective, how do you see this port overall, container port overall?
Hello. Firstly, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And it's again my honor to be a part of this eminent panel out here. And thank you again, C-Trade, for organizing this. And well, coming to your question, you're right. Tuticorin has always been a feeder port, transshipping volumes out of Colombo. And the way things are going now, it seems it's not far behind that we'll have bigger vessels calling. As far as Hapag Lloyd is concerned, we do have you're all aware, we have a stake, 40% stake in JM Bakshi Ports. And TICT being one of the major ports, we do have a lot of hope on that. It's a very long-term strategic decision what we have taken, and we are looking at a lot of avenues on this. What we get out of it is obviously improvement in port processes, the productivity levels, the service levels, what we are going to give to the customers are obviously going to be something much better. It's a strategic tie-up which we have with our partners. So that would obviously look at it. Going ahead, I also want to touch upon what we are doing also since we have been talking a lot about the green energy. I'm sure we have seen that there's a lot of focus on that, along with a lot of gender diversity, which again is one of the main focuses of the terminal. All this is in a way what we want to give back to the customer. Going ahead with the recent dredging and the turning circle, which has now become much bigger, allowing 14,000 TEU ships to come in. There is a lot of discussions ongoing at our end, and I'm sure it's not just with Hapag as an MLO. I'm talking this probably from everyone's point of view. Having a mainline vessel call is dependent upon a lot of factors. The commercial side of it is something which we are working on. The volumes which we would want to have. These are the things which we are taking into consideration. We are also a part of the Gemini cooperation, if you're all aware, along with Musk. That's more of the operations optimization which we are looking at on a larger scale. Though maybe most of the vessels today of the services are not calling smaller ports, they're calling bigger ports. But going ahead with all these developments, what TUT is seeing, I'm sure there is hope. We are looking at it. It's too early to say anything, but I'm sure as of today, there is a lot to look forward to, and we are working on it. And as and when some better picture comes out, we'll surely get back. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhash. One more question maybe I would like to touch upon before we move on to Murli from a feeder operator's perspective, right? I think a lot the trade is hearing about Vizhinjam. Of course, some people already a lot of transshipment activity there. So I think maybe from an MLO's perspective, how do you look at Vizhinjam versus Tuticorin, and from a gateway cargo perspective, right? I think everybody knows Vizhinjam from a transshipment perspective. I think it's widely known, but for the gateway cargoes of southern India, when you look at that with such large scale vessels coming into Tuticorin, into Vizhinjam, how do you see, both these ports playing out from a MLO's perspective?
Vizhinjam, yeah, the new kid on the block, right? Yes, everyone's talking about it. Everybody's seeing what's happening, but as of today, the way I look at it, it's a very big transshipment hub which is going to be there. Could change a bit in a couple of years' time, but as of today, I don't think that would have an effect on duties cargo. Like you just mentioned, the southern Tamil Nadu cargo, which comes probably Madurai, Karur, and Coimbatore, and all those cargo. That's bound to come here. We've already established that UT is the gateway port. So I do not see the cargo going away from here. The cargo which is bound to come to UT, the import export is going to remain. Will be a bit here and there, but I don't think we should look at Vizhinjam as a threat. In all possibilities, as a for transshipment, I would be happy, obviously, with the facilities being provided to Vizhinjam. And again, I'm talking from another, not just from a Hapag point of view, it's a general, right? It does not be that we do not want to go to Vizhinjam, or everybody has got their the position in the fraternity, port fraternity. So people who are looking at more at the transshipment hub with the location, I'm sure Vizhinjam is there. And for people who want to still continue with Exim from the catchment area in and around Tuti and South Tamil Nadu, I'm sure, and that's going to be there. That growth will always be there. So that's how I look at it now. Probably things could change in a couple of years' time after the infrastructure grows, how the connectivities start coming in, which is not just for Tuti but also for other ports. But I'm sure by the end of it, both will have their own roles to play. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a very balanced end of a view. Yeah. Thank you, Subhash. We'll move on to Mr. Murli, Regional Director for Unifeeder. So I think Murli, from someone representing Unifeeder, which operates vessels across the Indian Ocean subcon region, right? How do you see Tuticorin? I think we saw an MLO's perspective as somebody who also operates own vessel operations. I think not only Exim, but I think you're also into coastal in a big way, right? So how do you see Tuticorin? Again, there is the context of course, you have Vizhinjam from a transshipment perspective, but from a gateway cargo perspective, traditionally Tuticorin has been strong. So from a vessel operator's view, container vessel operator's view, maybe the trade would like to hear some perspectives around that.
For inviting me, come and share my views. Good evening to all. Yeah, now I don't think we've been able to say anything more because we have seen a detailed presentation from chairman of the port. He has mentioned where the port is positioned today and the growth part and what is the vision. So I'll agree with him because our group is also associated with these ports more than a decade now as a feeder operator. So we started in a small 1 or 2 ships from Tuticorin, but today we are operating 8 ships sailing from Tuticorin. We are connecting Tuticorin with all Indian ports for the coastal multimodal movement. And we are connecting Tuticorin with other part of the world through Jebel Ali and Colombo. So we continued continued our journey along with the port, what the chairman has mentioned, his growth. And moving forward also we are also upgrading our vessels because Tuticorin port, if I say specifically for Tuticorin, it's situated just middle of this industrial, kind of hub. And I've seen those first presentation, the chamber and other panelists have specifically mentioned there will be a lot of growth, there will be a lot of industries are coming up, for example, we can also see when we started here, our coastal operation, I would say while coming to Tuticorin, it was 100% full, and going back, we are carrying 100% share. Not only us, the other operators also facing the same challenges. But today, I would say the scenario has changed. And we are also getting a lot of domestic cargoes from here to other parts of the country, basically the textiles, then these solar panels, Along with that, I will come to that Vizhinjam, a lot of cargo is moving from here to the Exim cargo. I'm talking about the Exim transshipment, the cargo which is moving from here to Mundra, because from Mundra, Navasheva, there is a direct, mainline ships sailing for, all other US, Europe, Far East. The cargo which originating from here, earlier it used to go to only Jebel Ali or some other Colombo or, So now there is an option for the customers or the lines to move that cargo into either to Mundra or some other port, from there. So we are well connected with our shipping, plan from Tuticorin to within country and even the overseas, So, coming back to your question of Vizhinjam, I don't think, as Arvind said, is not going to impact much, because Vizhinjam has got their own kind of plan. We all know it's going to be a mega transshipment hub. So Tuticorin have their own kind of the cargo which is originating from here. And see, the thing is even if you look at, go to Chennai, within that 10 kilometers there are 4 terminals, which one, including we are operating as a DP group. So reasonably all terminals are operating reasonably good volume, So even if you look at the North Mundra or those areas, there also we are operating one terminal. We are coming out with a mega terminal in Kandla, it's a huge project. So again, Mumbai, that it's a big project which is coming up with the one port, So the way India now, we are talking about the growth is India is a fast growing country. So definitely we need this kind of logistic facilities or the ports, because anyway in this growth what country is talking about here, the logistic is going to play a big major role in this. For that we need a good connectivity, port and the other infrastructure. So I don't think it's a competition, or maybe it will be a complement each other, maybe Tuticorin and Vizhinjam moving forward. And even I used to tell my team also, if somebody is starting a new operation, whether it is coastal or any other feeder operation, we should not be worried much, because when there is a new services or the facilities coming up, it will only help the trade to grow, So I don't think somebody else is coming, so I'm going to lose my business. So that is the way I'm looking at it. I may be wrong, So these are my perspective with these two your questions. Moving forward, I'll have more to share. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think again a quite balanced view. I think Vizhinjam versus Tuticorin, I think we heard two perspectives, one from the liner perspective, another from the feeder operator's perspective. And I think, of course, there is enough cargo for everybody, or, if we have more and more players, I think, it's not about competing with each other, but the trade will have more facilities across, right? Thank you. I think we'll get back to you after we go to the other panelists. So Gayatri, from a CONCOR perspective, I think, of course, everybody is talking about integrated logistics, you could call it intermodal, multimodal and all that, right? So from a CONCOR perspective, as somebody who operates, again, rail terminals and container terminals across, of course, you're trying to bridge it with rail where possible, or there is a road bridging happening. And so from your perspective, if you look at the southern hinterland, right, how do you see Tuticorin as a gateway, where either, because I think the most asked question is, when is Tuticorin getting rail connection? And I'm sure Gayatri gets asked that question every time she goes on stage, So how does that play out, from a rail terminal operator or rail operator's perspective? That will be interesting to hear.
Thank you, Vipin, for the question. And before I answer this, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me here today. So like I'll just divide the questions into three parts. First, we started with multimodal transport. I think that I don't really need to explain what is multimodal because everyone talks about multimodal, like, it's like different modes of transport, which is helping the customer reach from end to end. CONCOR per se is now totally into multimodal logistics. We have totally entered into the fray, and we are doing rail connectivity plus first mile, last mile connectivity also. And apart from that, as you would have heard, we are also, like, we've not started, but we are venturing into coastal and other areas also, so that we want to be a total multimodal logistics player in every possible way. So this is one part of how we go into multimodal logistics. Now when we come back to the southern part of India, especially to Tuticorin, you're right, this question comes to me all the time, that when do we start rail connectivity to Tuticorin? And again, at the cost of repeating myself at every session, I have to repeat it. Southern part of India, the hinterland is narrow. Rail connectivity is more beneficial, or I would say more cost effective when the distances are higher. And then we also need, the other issue out here is aggregation of cargo. So a rail connectivity becomes beneficial when we have 80 to 90 containers in a rake. If it's a mini rake, at least 50 containers. Now without that, it is not cost effective for the customer. And as we all know, finally it all ends up in logistics cost. So if it is not cost effective, no customer is going to utilize it. Besides, since our hinterland is narrow, the distances are short. So, road connectivity becomes, by road when you travel, you reach much faster. So if I wait for somewhere to aggregate 80 containers, in the meantime, there would be a lot of garment exporters, perhaps in Tirupur, who would like to come immediately and connect to Tuticorin. That is one of the major problems of rail connectivity. There's no other issue per se. The second, but CONCOR has realized this. So what we have now done is like what Mr. Subhash was also saying, and what we were hearing in the earlier sessions, there is a lot of talks about green energy and energy efficient, and and every company, especially when you are exporting, you are expected to meet ESG norms. So CONCOR has procured around 200 LNG trucks, and out of which nearly 90 to 100 have been given only to Tamil Nadu. It is only in the southern part. We are at present applying 50 from Tondiarpet. We have also connected, because we don't run that many, we are not running trains this side, we've connected even Madurai, and one or two occasions even to Tirunelveli and all, we have connected by our LNG trucks and trailers. We've got around 40 more, out of which 20 we are placing at Whitefield. So for traffic which is from Tuticorin to Whitefield or Whitefield to Tuticorin, till a rail route proper takes place, we can always connect it by our LNG trucks and trailers. We will be placing another 15-20 at Coimbatore. Basically, we are placing wherever there is a fueling point, we are placing it near there. So from Coimbatore also, we can bring traffic, Coimbatore, Tirupur, all these areas we can bring traffic to Tuticorin. So this is how we can start off with rail connectivity. Apart from that, when we come to, road connectivity, and apart from that, when we talk about rail connectivity, I would like to inform the Tuticorin trade, like in Mysore, we have a terminal for which Customs has already issued the Section 45. So within a month or two, it's going to be a fully fledged Exim terminal. We can handle both export and import cargoes there. So I know from here there is a lot of cargo which goes to Mysore, and there's also return cargo. In this regard, I would request the shipping liners to open a BL point at Mysore and at Irugur also, because Coimbatore also, unfortunately, we don't have a BL point also. So, coming here becomes a problem. So, at Mysore, if there's a BL point, and if shipping liners are willing, they can go to Mysore, and we can drop the containers there, and we can get export cargo. That way, what would happen is the logistics cost for the customer would automatically reduce. Because now what happens is, if the shipping liner insists that we have to come back to Tuticorin, we'll have to get back empty containers. Now, empty containers, railways will take haulage. Even if we leave everything else, you will be still paying for the railway haulage, which is a cost which will be added to your bill. So, logistics cost increases. So, the thing we would request all the shipping liners is, like, please open a BL point there, let the containers remain there so that when we come back, you can get loaded containers and it will automatically reduce the logistics cost. So these are 2-3 ways in which we are trying to work out whether we can how we can help the Tuticorin customers.
So an associated question, thanks for those perspectives, and I think one aspect you touched upon, I think which Rajesh from the Coimbatore Customs Clearance Association, he had also brought in, right? I think there is of course increasing trend about, a lot of DP and, DPD happening, right? And then of course there is the other aspect of the inland terminals like in Coimbatore or in Tirupur, right? Either they're not able to attract cargo or there's not much of stuffing happening there or de-stuffing happening there. So, so do you, over a period of time, do you see more consolidation kind of activities happening closer to ports than inland locations? Or, and I think sometimes this is like the chicken or egg situation, right? So you, on one hand, maybe there could be some exporters or importers who would want to have their cargo stuffed in Coimbatore, but predominantly maybe a lot of others prefer to do it, say, directly in Tuticorin or some other location. So any trends you see general or, and as somebody, I think you operate the terminal in Coimbatore, so how do you see this?
I would love to see that, these are, we have more stuffing in the terminals so that it becomes easier for us to consolidate the cargo and get them here. But yes, right now it is happening at the ports more. So that is there. And if it changes, it's very good. And in fact, since we've touched upon DPD, DPE, I would like to also inform, because now Tuticorin is also open for DPD, DPE. Yes, what we've done, like last week, we had a meeting, the entire CONCOR team with our CMD, we had a meeting with the CSLA and other shipping liners at Mumbai. So where one of the requests we had made, because what happens now is when there's a DPD container, like here, of course, it has just started. But in most places, what happens is the shipping liners want the DPD containers to come back to their port from where it was taken. So that will automatically add to the cost for the logistics player. So we've requested, you please put it, you keep it in the terminal which is nearby. And we'll try to get back export loads on it. I mean, if they keep insisting it has to come back, yes, the logistics cost would be higher. So this is something I thought I should let know, because this is something we are pursuing, and maybe if the trade can also pursue this, that would really be helpful.
Okay, thank you. I think maybe later Subhash will come back to you to get a perspective on the liner side. I'm sure everybody, the other liner folks here as well, who may have a perspective on why equipment imbalances sometimes matter, and what's the challenge of picking boxes at one location, dropping them off at another location. We'll move on to Mr. Kumar Duraiswamy from Eastern Global Clothing. He also represents Tirupur Exporters Association as the Joint Secretary. So Kumar, from with the global trade, like a lot of chaos around the new dynamics, the US White House, the new regime there. From an RMG shipper or an exporter community's perspective, right? Overall, how are you seeing the RMG trades? Maybe we can talk about that initially, some perspectives on how do you see the trade flow happening for RMGs given the global situation, especially in US and things like that.
First of all, thank you, C-Trade and FIO on behalf of Tirupur Exporters Association for giving this platform every year to exchange the views between the manufacturers, exporters and the logistics community. This year, with a lot of challenges, the last 10 years it was not a great journey for Tirupur in particular, particularly RMG exports. A lot of disruptions were there, right from demonetization, right from implementation of GST, then comes the COVID-1 and COVID-2, then economic slowdown in the Western economies. But still, Tirupur is known for its resilience, and this year we have surpassed and we registered a remarkable growth of 44,747 crores end March 2025, which is almost about more than 20% we have crossed the earlier turnover. And for sure the potential is great. We are looking for a growth of 15 to 20% every year from this year, and in 5 years we should be reaching 100,000 crores of export turnover alone. And adding the domestic turnover current year, we have Tirupur altogether does a turnover of 70,000 crores and employing about more than 1 million people. So this is the strength of Tirupur, and given the geopolitical situation favoring India, particularly the political situation in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is going to lose their GSP status in another 2 years. So the bigger retailers are already started bringing back their infrastructure in India, particularly in Tirupur. And again, we have already signed the FTA with UK, and which will come in effect in another 3 or 4 months. And the bilateral talks between US and India, which is happening now, and we may get a good news within another fortnight's time, which is also going to favor India. Even in this tariff situation also, India is one of the country which is placed, as far as the RMG is concerned, which is placed in the least tariff category, where it is again favoring India. And we can see a lot of US business coming into India, particularly to Tirupur. And thanks to the state government, they have also announced 5 textile parks. Apart from the PM Mitra Park, the state government has announced 5 textile parks, and one is coming in Tuticorin, and 15 exporters have shown interest to bring the factories over here, and the factories are also graduating. For example, 100 machine factories are now becoming 200 machines, 200 is becoming 400, and 1000 machine factories are becoming 2000 machines, which means it is a clear sign that next 15 years it is going to be Tirupur's year on the RMG sector is concerned. And as far as the challenges are concerned, definitely there is a very big challenge, particularly on the logistics part. The buyers wants to de-risk China, or particularly on the RMG part, but again the crux lays in the logistics. From China to Los Angeles, the transit is 15 to 18 days, whereas if we send it from Tuticorin, it takes 40 days to 45 days, sometimes 60 days, and rollovers, which gives us sleepless nights. This is again a very big challenge which has to be addressed at this point of time. And as we spoke the other day also, I mentioned the same point. And as far as Tuticorin is concerned, Thoothukudi and Tirupur always share not a trade relationship. Apart from trade relationship, for decades and decades, the CHAs and the forwarding agents here share a family bonding with most of the exporters in Tirupur. And we always feel very comfortable routing our cargo through Tuticorin, because not only because of the distance, it is also because of the ecosystem developed all these years. This ecosystem has favored most of the Tirupur exporting community, and for sure, I mentioned 44,747 crores. Without Tuticorin, definitely it will not be possible. I definitely give the credit to Tuticorin logistic fraternity for this. And also, if I want to also mention another important point is there was a little tussle going between our transporters and the local logistic fraternity, and which we intervened, and the CHA agents and the forwarding agents and the CFS owner associations, they were so cooperative. They came all the way down to Tirupur, and we had a tri-party conversations, and thankfully everybody agreed, and we have resolved that issue. And such is the relationship we always cherish with Tuticorin. And we don't find this kind of an ecosystem again with any other ports like Navaseva, or I should say even Chennai. I'm not degrading other ports and upgrading Tuticorin. That I am talking about the practical points. For example, our operational logistics staff will be talking to the operational staff of the particular CHA or the forwarding agent or the CFS in charge. That kind of an communication saves us a lot of air freights and discounts. that itself accounts a huge sum of money, and that is only possible only through Tuticorin, because these kind of ecosystem, we don't know what is the status of our cargo until it is loaded in Navaseva or on in Mundra. That is the main challenges what we are seeing. And I was given to understand for some given reasons, the mother vessel which is proposed to come into Tuticorin is not coming. Maybe it is getting postponed or something. I don't know the entire history of that. But the day when the mother vessel comes into Tuticorin port, I don't know how the logistics community in Tuticorin celebrate, but Tirupur definitely will celebrate that, because that will definitely graduate our export business to another level. And as such, let me end up with this, and I'll come back.
Okay, thank you. I think very good perspectives in terms of, traditionally how Tirupur has been always supported by Tuticorin as a gateway. Obviously, from an ease of business perspective, I think, with a lot of pressure on global supply chains, I think everybody is looking at how you can cut down lead times. And so I think the ease of moving cargoes, I think receiving to stuffing lead time, then stuffing the container to port lead time, everything is quite short, right? We move on to Tapaswi from Arvind. I think, so again, I think very similar to what Mr. Kumar said. I think Arvind is a big name from an exports perspective. So, with rising competition, right, I think, like Kumar also mentioned, I think the competitiveness or the resilience of the supply chain, and I think the sourcing supply chain becomes very important, right? So it's not just the manufacturing ecosystem, but the logistics ecosystem also makes a lot of difference. Again, we spoke about ease of business and all. So as a company which has been using Tuticorin for many years, right? What's your perspectives around cargo flows out of Tuticorin, and how have you seen it over the years? And from an exporter's perspective, what can the anything which can the trade collectively can do to improve that aspect?
Yeah. See. Hello. Good evening, everyone. So one is Tuticorin is a destiny, actually speaking, because in childhood when we were playing business, I used to see there was one port called Tuticorin which used to buy in Monopoly, Indian Monopoly. Then my uncle used to go to Tuticorin, and he used to say he always used to visit Tuticorin every month. So I used to ask him. Then I thought that I should also one day go and see what it is. Then when I joined, I did my engineering in Chennai, but even then I couldn't get time to visit Tuticorin. Then after that I was in Bacardi in the later point of years. We used to import a lot of bottles from Sri Lanka, caps and bottles. So that was very easy. Ease of doing business started from there. That is where I got to know that, okay, this is a port wherein we can do business easily compared to Navashava and other ports where we were importing. So that was one part. Then when I joined Arvind later part, so that is where when my team told that we are exporting out of Tuticorin, because H&M and M&S, Gap, all our customers, they consolidate in Tuticorin, and from there they export the containers. So that is when I got to visit in 2022, and this is one more opportunity which India Sea Trade has given. Thanks to that. So if you talk about ease of doing business in Tuticorin, well, I can vouch for that. That is because whenever we think of exporting from Chennai or Tuticorin, always my team comes back and says that we'll have to do it from Tuticorin, because ease of doing business and information flow and the forwarding and CHF fraternity, their support is very much there. So it is much better over here. So that's the reason we always divert our cargo, although we have opportunities wherein we can export it from any of the ports. Our customers give that opportunity that you can export from any of the ports, any of the CFS, be it Mundra or Chennai or any of the CFS. But we always prefer Tuticorin to be the port where we are exporting from Bangalore. And a few years ago, we started from Ranchi and Indore also. So when we started from Ranchi and Indore, then we were in a dilemma what to use, because Mundra is 2,300 kilometers, Tuticorin is 2,600 kilometers. So obviously, if you look at logistics cost, we thought that let's go with Mundra. But again, the team told that no, it's better. Even the transporters who are placing vehicles from Ranchi and Indore, and the team also told that no, it's better to use Tuticorin rather than Mundra. So although my head office being in Ahmedabad, we are still sending the material from Ranchi and Indore to Tuticorin. So that's the support we get over here. But see, this is all good. But earlier, one of the speakers has he spoke now that there are a lot of issues in terms of GST. There, the people are harassing a lot. So that's practically there. So if this harassment continues, then people would divert again back to Chennai. There's an option. So people would divert back. So there should be someone from here who can lead that and say that no, for a comma, for a full stop, for an address, spelling mistake in the address, if the GST officials harass and say that we will not let the truck go until you pay the amount, you pay the fine of 25,000, 50,000, 75,000, well, your ship will not wait for you to pay the fines. So these kind of things we are not facing elsewhere. Why we are saying if it is across the country, because I handle across the country, I can say that we are not facing these issues across the country, but especially here, we are facing these kind of issues for GST. And second is, you also mentioned about drawback. So those issues, the EGM filing is a big issue which has cropped up again. Earlier it wasn't there, but now it cropped up. So if these issues are sorted out within time, if there is a window wherein people can go and speak and get this sorted out, that will really help, to sustain. We have to sustain now. We have achieved something, but we have to sustain now. I mean, if we don't sustain, then comes the option of Vizhingham and all what we are talking about. But if we sustain and the business is stable, then why do people have to think about other ports? And Vizhingham, if you say, see, people look at stability and unions also. So always people would prefer Tuticorin. That's the answer to your question. It's not a balanced view, finally. Okay, so stability is important. That's the reason we would prefer Tuticorin even then. And then systems. There are a lot of systems like we have DGFT, IceGate, then forwarder systems, then our customer systems. What we are expecting is there can be a gateway system from the port itself. The main port, the Tuticorin port can have a bridge system wherein Tuticorin port bridges with that external system, shares the data of VGM or EGM and all those forwarder details, shipping line details, and what is happening in the port, whether it was loaded or not. So all these things are shared to that third bridge, and all the other exporters or the other Exim fraternity attaches to that bridge, so that tomorrow if you're not doing an API directly with the port authority, the government authority, so you're not at risk completely. You're out of risk. So whatever happens, anything, hacking or anything happens, it only happens, it hits the bridge, not the principal company. So if that bridge is available and if we can do an EDI with that bridge, so all the fraternity will come into one place and the information flow would be seamless. That will help the industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tapaswi. Yeah, I think a lot of positives about Tuticorin. Of course, you have brought out some of the pain points, like the GST. I think, of course, Commissioner was here earlier. Of course, the other trade people are also here. Hopefully, we are able to take it from the forum's perspective, to the relevant authorities, whether it is the EGM, the drawback issues, some of them which you have mentioned, and yeah, quite rightly put, I think, in terms of as long as all the aspects which have made Tuticorin have a edge from a ease of business doing perspective, I think it will continue to have its flow irrespective of other competition around. Perhaps Subhash, I get back to you from an earlier point. I think that's something which Gayatri had brought up as well, that today we talking about a lot on intermodal, multimodal and all that, but shipping lines for whatever reasons, continuing to insist that if you pick up a container in a port, you have to drop it back, or this whole equipment play. What's your perspective from MLO side of things? How do you see it, and what can you think this will get better over the coming years, or how do you see it?
Vipin, equipment is of prime importance today, right? There's a lot of imbalance in the trade. Everyone knows that. And getting a box at the location where it is required is something which we basically look at. I know we had, like Gayatri mentioned, we did have a meeting along with CONCOR in Mumbai recently, and there were a lot of positives which have come out of it. But just to answer your question, why we want the box to come back is basically because of the imbalance which we look at. If we need to drop it at some place, it's more of opening up of, like Gayatri mentioned, of a BL point, which is in today's scenario is not what we look at. We want to more consolidate at different places. But if there is an ICD which opens up and there is a volume there, for sure boxes will be moved. I can talk about probably in the north side or even Navashipa for that matter. The ICD Tumb, which is hardly any kilometers away from the port, but the volumes are so high that we are able to ask customers to pick up boxes there or drop it there. So that's there. Side by side, there is also some other companies today who are working on this. A couple of startups are also there, and there are also some well-known companies who are working towards this particular model. And we have been given some presentations, and more or less we are finalizing one or two of them, and we are trying to work this model what you are mentioning right now of the boxes being dropped at a location and the customer picks it up from there, right? It's something like your Uber, Ola things, So how that will work? It will work. There's a new something which is being worked out. There's a cost effectiveness for the lines and for the customer also. So we are thinking on those lines, but generally to answer your question, why it is happening is basically because of that equipment imbalance or the trade imbalance as of now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think maybe we can quickly take some questions, and then we can try to do a concluding round. So from the from the audience, can we have some mics in the floor? Do we have some mics in the floor already there? Okay. I think in the front, Rajesh. Yeah.
Ma'am, again, it's a great news. It's a big bonanza. You said 20 vehicles you're giving to Coimbatore, Tirupur. In fact, this was a cry which we are doing for last over a decade, and now I think things are coming true, and we are very, very happy, and I'm sure this will definitely change the total perspective of the shipments of ICD, which can be used in a better way. Thanks for this wonderful gesture, ma'am. Thank you. And sir, you made it a beautiful note. Whatever you said was very clear, crystal clear of what the trade is going to be. And we also feel that there's a big bonanza happening, and we could see that the garments are going in a very big way to US. And I'm sure even the duty things comes, it's not going to stop. And I'm sure we as a partner will definitely support and sail together as a family for a long way, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Any questions to any of the panelists, or anything anybody would like to bring up as a point you would like to raise?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. I have one question. Sir, saying that...
just can you please introduce
myself Ramesh from VOC Port Trust. I have one question to Hapag Lloyd, sir. Sir, just Tirupur Export Association saying that they have thousands of crores are exported from Tirupur to various places through VOC Port as well as Cochin Port. So there are enough export containers requirement is there. And also CONCOR having the ICD at Coimbatore. So if you can open the account that a container can be dropped at ICD Coimbatore, easily they will be able to pick up from that place. Like you said in the JNPA, same way they will get benefited. So why don't you think of that, sir? Since you have the terminal at Tuticorin, you can think of, and you can start it as a first. Other liners say to start, but once you start, others also will start following you. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Well, dropping of boxes, again, I'm coming to the same thing. All these volumes are not coming to me as Hapag Lloyd, right? We are talking about a system which needs to be made. The services from there have to start. Once the services start, a BL point can be opened, and accordingly my boxes can be started stuffing from there. My commercial team can start working on it. Presently, we are not looking at that picture. From what you mentioned, you're right. There is a lot of volumes going out of Tirupur. Why is the cargo still coming from Tirupur all the way to Tuti or to Cochin, other places, right? So it's basically that we also want this to happen, but today what I heard from earlier also, there was some ICDs which my friend was telling from at Coimbatore, which opened and then died down, right? So there has to be a reason behind that. Why are the customers not able to connect those boxes from there here? So looking at the positive side, like I said, we are working on something wherein this system is being developed, and we cannot just park our boxes at some places until we have a confirmation that the boxes will be picked up and the volume would the optimum usage of the equipment is what finally it ends up. But surely your point well taken, and wherever there are volumes, we'll surely try to do what best is possible from Hapag's point of view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think, yeah, with that, I think if no other questions, then we'll try to. Okay, one last question. Okay, one last question. Yeah.
Thank you. It's not a question, it's just an answer to Mr. Tapaswi's comments on certain pain points here. See, basically, EGM in the entire country, Tuticorin is the only place where we file the EGM on time, and the third day, fourth day, we get the drawbacks and the IGST refunds. Right now, there is a trial run being run for a new system that is called SCMTR and the Sea Departure Manifest. Among the select 3 ports, one among the ports is Tuticorin. So initially we are having some hiccups, but a couple of days back we have found a solution and the backlogs are being cleared. So hopefully in a week's time you will get your IGST and EGM.
I understand, because I also report to someone, right? 75 crores of EGM is still pending. 75 crores interest per day, just imagine. That's pending for a month. So, and then not only EGM, EGM is fine, drawback. Then comes the gateway EGM. Gateway EGM, we have a ROTAP and ROSTEL, 2 benefits, which we have to realize.
Okay.
So that's a financial impact, that's the reason.
Thank you for adding on to it, sir. I hope we have no more questions, and even if you do, I'm sure you can reserve them for your networking over tea or over dinner. Let's move on for the interest of time. So thank you, Vipin, Shankar, for moderating it and completing it on time. As we now come to the end of this session, I would like to request Mr. Ravi Nair, President, MPRS Shipping and Logistics, to kindly come on stage and present a memento to these panelists as a token of our gratitude and appreciation for receiving our invite, for accepting our invite, and being present here. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause for Mr. Ravi Nair and all of these panelists on stage. May I request Mr. Tapaswi, P.V.N. to kindly come forward. All right, so we have Mr. Ravi Menon, President, MPRS Shipping and Logistics, on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause for him and the panelists. We have Mr. Tapaswi, P.V.N., Vice President, Exim, Commercial Logistics, Arvind Limited. Thank you, sir. Kindly stay back, sir. Mr. C.M. Muraleedharan, Area Director, India, Unifeeder. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and sharing your insights. I request you to receive the memento from Mr. Ravi Menon. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Kumar Duraiswamy, CEO, Eastern Global Clothing Private Limited and Joint Secretary of Tirupur Exporters Association. Thank you so much for joining us. He's receiving a memento from Mr. Ravi Menon. I'd like to invite Ms. Gayatri, Ms. G. Gayatri, IRTS Area Head, Area 3 CONCOR, to kindly come forward and receive a memento. Thank you so much, ma'am. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Subhash Rajkumar, General Manager Operations, India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh for Hapag Lloyd, to receive a memento. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause for each of these panelists and for Mr. Ravi Menon, sir. I request you to kindly stay back, Ravi Menon, sir, for a quick photograph with all our panelists. And now I'd like to also present a memento to, of course, our moderator, who has done an extremely good and very hectic job of completing the moderation on time. So, Mr. Vipin, I request you to kindly step forward. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause as we have all panelists of the second session today on the Global Freight Forum Tuticorin 2025. Thank you so much.